Sanmao's wandering story alone and helpless, losing loved ones again. Sanmao is a poor boy. He grew up in a rural area and has lost his father and mother since he was a child. Sanmao was thin and small, with a big head and 3 sparse hairs on it, so people called him Sanmao. Sanmao was poor and miserable, without a home or any relatives. He came to a green meadow where a mother sheep took her lamb. The mother sheep eats grass, and the lambs eat mother sheep's milk. The mother sheep kisses the lamb and sticks out her tongue to lick the lambs down. Sanmao looked at it. Sanmao came outside the house and saw a litter of piglets in the pigsty squeezing, squealing, and rolling under the big sow, and fighting for milk over there in the chicken coop. The old flower hen led a group of chicks for a walk, catching bugs to eat while walking. The flower hen gnaws on small eye. The big yellow dog came over with a group of small yellow dogs. The small yellow dogs were wagging their tails and shaking their heads, jumping up and down and barking woof. Sanmao looked at it and couldn't bear it anymore. He gently picked up a little yellow dog and shed tears. The old yellow. There is a nest in the tree. There is a big black nest and several small black nests. They huddled together and played in the warm nest made of branches. Sanmao saw it and thought of her mother again. "Mom, where are you?" Sanmao has no one to kiss him, no one to love him or protect him. Sanmao couldn't stop crying, tears streaming down her face. Sanmao was so sad. Sanmao cried sadly for a long time alone in the tree, and no one paid attention to him. Sanmao was tired from crying, and his stomach was so hungry that he kept moaning. So he lay on the tree and looked into the distance. There is a river across the river. There is a house on the other side of the river, and a tall ancient tower. Sanmao thought to himself, there must be a lot of people living there. I should go there and order something to eat. Sanmao got down from the tree and walked to the river. The river was quite wide, so Sanmao rolled up the legs of his torn trousers and waded across the river step by step. At the beginning, the river was not very deep, but the further we waded in, the deeper the water became. Even the belly was gone. The bottom of the river was soft and slippery. Sanmao was so anxious that he fell down with a plop. This was a place where the water was so deep that the water was up to his neck. "Oops, help!" Sanmao shouted loudly while flopping around in the water. Just then, a small wooden fishing boat passed by, and an old man with a white beard sat on the boat. The old man heard Sanmao's shout and quickly rowed the boat over. He stretched out an oar to Sanmao, and Sanmao quickly grabbed the oar. The old man pulled hard and pulled Sanmao to the front of the boat. The old man's beard was all white, but he was still very energetic. He stretched out his arms and lifted Sanmao onto the boat. The old man rowed a boat to the other side of the river. He pointed to a hut built on the river bank and said, "That's where I live." The small straw shed is supported by several bamboo poles, covered with straw, and there is a tree next to the straw shed. Sanmao got off the boat, dripping wet from head to toe. When the breeze blew, he shivered. The kind-hearted grandfather hurriedly took out his own coat from the hay shed and asked Sanmao to put it on. San Mao obediently put on his grandfather's clothes, dragging the fat and big coat all the way to the ground. San Mao didn't think he looked weird at all, he just felt warm in his heart. The old man patted San Mao's head gently and said to him while smoking a dry cigarette, "Son, this is your home, let's stay together." The old man drove his boat down the river to fish every day, and San Mao followed him, and he gradually learned to row. He rowed a boat, and the old man cast a net to catch fish every day. The old man took the fresh fish to the market and sold it in exchange for rice and vegetables, so that he could cook. San Mao also wanted to learn how to cast a net to catch fish, so that the old man could have a rest. On this day, he began to learn how to cast a net. San Mao followed the old man's example, twisted and turned, and used all his strength to cast the net.
Unexpectedly, he exerted too much force, and the boat swayed. San Mao lost his balance, sat down, and fell into the water. That big net, guess what? It didn't spread into the river, but fell on the old man's head, covering him all of a sudden. Grandpa and San Mao both laughed happily. Grandpa and Xiao San Mao are really closer than their own grandfather and their own grandson. One day, something happened. Several soldiers carrying long spears came from Hedong and Hexi. They all shouted to the old man, "Hey, old man, please row the boat over quickly and let us pass." The old man stood on the boat and saw that the soldiers on both sides of the strait were carrying. He was stunned for a moment and didn't know where to row. Which way? The soldiers on both sides of the river started shouting and scolding each other, cursing and cursing. They pulled the bolt of the gun, loaded the bullet, and shouted at the old man, "Old man, come here quickly, or if you don't come, shoot." This frightened the three people sitting on the bow. Mao. He hugged the old man's legs and didn't dare to breathe. Soldiers on both sides of the Taiwan Strait fired at each other. Bullets swished through the boat. Oh, not good. A bullet hit the grandfather's chest, and blood poured out of the grandfather's chest. San Mao rushed over to help his grandfather, but failed, and the grandfather fell into the water. The water was stained bright red with blood, and the old man was beaten to death by the soldiers. San Mao lay on the side of the boat and cried loudly while looking at the old man. Floating on the river, Grandpa is such a good relative, and San Mao is so sad. San Mao lost a relative again.